Before I get started with this video, I just want to remind all of you that we're still doing our Imaginary Gift Force 2 Holiday Special giveaway. The special Force 2 markers that Bushiroad gave to stores only to celebrate Christmas and everything and the New Year's. We're giving away 3 of those, so make sure to check out the video that's going to be linked in the description, as well as the Gleam link that you have to use to basically get your entries into that giveaway. Good luck with that, and now let's get straight back into the video. What's up everyone, it's Yue from the Strictly Broken YouTube channel, and today I want to talk about the topic of premium and how, yes, it is without a doubt true that old, common, and rare staples in premium are starting to get really expensive. But the angle I'm taking with this video is that while some people are specifically citing that, you know, there needs to be like a revival collection or something to lower these prices to keep that price barrier for players down so that we can get more people excited about premium. Seeing a downwards trend on premium card prices could actually be very detrimental to the format, more of a Yu-Gi-Oh-esque type of argument. By the way, shoutouts to TIE Fighter Vanguard for making that video about revival collections. It's actually a really good watch, and his angle on this stuff is all totally valid. Keep in mind, like, totally respectable. No topic is black or white, right? Every topic is a spectrum, and I'm just trying to present the other side of it. So when I say Yu-Gi-Oh type of argument, what do I mean? A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players get upsetty spaghettis about the nature that Yu-Gi-Oh tends to do over time with their powerful staples in their ever-changing eternal format, right? Yu-Gi-Oh is just a game that is an eternal format. Konami will typically reprint powerful staples a year after the card's initial production. And you'll see cards like Pot of Extravagance go from $100 cards to $30 cards because of reprints. And this upsets a lot of people because their cards don't hold value, and that's a big frustration with Yu-Gi-Oh in general. So while there is an audience that would love to get their hobby for cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, I think focusing on that audience is definitely very naive in terms of a worldview, because there is just as much, most likely, of an audience of people who like to see their hobbies retain indefinite value. This is where I'm gonna give my personal opinion a little bit here. Take it with a grain of salt, it's just my personal opinion. I think people who have price as a priority when it comes to their hobby, like with the attitude of, man, this is so expensive, I really can't afford it, but I really want to play this hobby. I think those people should really just take the high road and not play the hobby. If price is always an issue when it comes to maintaining your hobby, then you have to really reconsider your life and life goals and expectations for yourself, because a hobby is, in the end of the day, an extraneous activity. Your priority should definitely be to advance your own well-being and your own lifestyle before you even think about like tertiary hobbies that are just not really that essential. Only essential after you've, I think, figured yourself out in a lot of other aspects like finances, stability, and whatnot. So that's my personal opinion on that, and why I think getting things as cheap as possible is targeting an audience that, you know, it's actually not to their benefit to get it as cheap as possible, even for them. But there's just as much of an audience who really wants to see a strong amount of price memory in their cards. This is why Magic Eternal formats do so well. Magic, the card game, Magic the Gathering. There's an uncommon, a very famous Magic the Gathering uncommon called Force of Will. Force of Will is also a really shitty card game that is probably gonna die in the next 2-3 years, but it is also a very iconic Magic card. This card, ever since its first printing as an uncommon, has always been reprinted as a mythic. And this is because in Legacy, one of Magic's eternal formats, I think the audience for that format is definitely an audience of like, A, they want to play very powerful stuff, but also B, that they want to make sure their cards stay at a relatively close price to the entry cost of the card initially. That's actually a really great thing for eternal formats, by the way, and probably brings people in to those formats just as much as the eternal format being cheap. The fact that if I invest $100 into a Force of Will times 4, because I need 4 copies, so $400 into 4 Force of Wills, that 3 years down the line, when I decide that, I'm about to get married and I'm about to have kids and I don't need to play Magic anymore, I need to get rid of it, that I can exit out of this hobby at the same price that I entered, maybe losing a bit to inflation or market variability, but definitely it'll still be in that price range that I initially bought it for. That is a very, very important thing for eternal formats, that the people who are presenting the argument of premium needs to be cheaper aren't giving enough credit for. What might be more beautiful than getting premium extremely cheap for people is creating enough community confidence in the format to have cards that have long-lasting pricing and good price memory, right? It's more important that people feel confident in their purchases for premium than it is for premium to get ultimately cheaper. Because if people can exit out of premium for what they paid for, it doesn't matter what the price actually is. It just only matters the initial cost of coming in. And again, if the initial cost of coming into premium is something that you can't afford, probably should look into doing something else that is just less expensive in general, or just rethink having a hobby right now, because if you can't afford to play a card game, don't play a fucking card game. That's my angle on it. How getting things to be cheaper is one solution, but it actually completely blindsides the other half of the argument. It's not a black or white argument. Getting things cheaper is not going to make everything better. Now onto like doing a revival collection or reprint of something. I do think that, almost objectively, there is a shortage on premium staples. Vanguard is a different beast than it once was. The game is definitely, without a doubt, bigger, and there's definitely less copies of certain old cards in circulation, causing some of their values to be probably a little bit overinflated, which is what I'd ultimately agree with. Stuff like Cursed Eye Ravens being 10, Gale just being 10. No doubt, I feel like those cards being 10, maybe a bit of inflation, and where I think I walk a line a bit on this argument, I think a revival collection would be great to just boost the overall volume of these cards that are actually in circulation, and seeing where they actually end up establishing for like a long-term price. So I'm not actually in disagreement with reprinting a revival collection. I think it's actually a really great thing. Where I probably want to see their reprint of revival collection go is like towards the Magic the Gathering angle, where Force of Will was always just reprinted as a mythic. I want to see stuff like Purple Trapezes printed in a higher rarity, Cursed Eyed Raven printed in a higher rarity, Gelja printed in a higher rarity, Chappie the Ghosty printed in a higher rarity, Sariel printed in a higher rarity. Because I think, once you print these cards in a higher rarity, there's now that chase for people to want to like max their decks more, and that will then increase the supply of the lower rarity stuff in the circulation. So it accomplishes both things, but it does it in a more elegant way that probably retains some of that price memory. You want to definitely think about keeping the prices high. The prices being high is not the problem. It's just not the problem. The lack of supply is a problem, but I think making sure that you try to retain as much price memory as possible while you unload out your revival collection releases is what needs to be a priority. Because making sure people who are playing these eternal formats feel like that their cards have some amount of retainable value is definitely as important as maybe getting things so cheap that people want to play these eternal formats, which, is a side that, like I said many times in this video, I'm not necessarily sure I fully agree with. Anyways, that's it for this video. Those are my 2 cents on a future revival collection print, a premium support set that might do reprints. I definitely think that there's just really no issue with prices being higher as long as the prices stay high. But there is a huge issue with prices being higher if they are actually going to reprint things to the ground, because that's when people just lose confidence in the format in general about them, wanting to play some kind of eternal format for long periods of time. In the end of the day, eternal formats are supposed to be formats that people can enjoy and have this huge deck diversity that a lot of things stay powerful for a long time because of that enormous card pool. And if things start depreciating and losing their value, I think a lot of people will be very, very, very upset. Anyways, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure to check out our giveaway that we're doing, link in the description. And it's UA signing off. Peace.